Ladies and gentlemen, you are in for a good one today. Money in the Bank 2019. You get to hear my review of this show. Personally, I hate this show, and you guys are going to find out why. Now, a lot of things happened throughout this show, which I just really didn't like. Okay, before I get into that though, for starters, the positives of this show, Seth Rollins and AJ Styles had a great match for the Universal Championship, so that was really good. And then the Money in the Bank ladder match for the men, prior to Boombox Brock and everything that happened with that was entertaining. I enjoyed it. Outside of that, though, just, oh my god, this show was bad. This show was really bad. Now, was it the worst Money in the Bank pay-per-view? No, it wasn't the worst Money in the Bank pay-per-view. As far as the worst one, 2014 is really not good. I was watching that one the other day. That's really not a good show. 2017, I don't like either. I don't think that's a very good Money in the Bank show. And 2018 wasn't great either. So the recent years haven't been very good for Money in the Bank pay-per-views. I think the issue for the recent years Money in the Bank shows, one, the women's Money in the Bank ladder matches are never good. They're good as in just serviceable good. They're not just that's a damn good ladder match, you know? So the women's match, plus the booking at these Money in the Bank pay-per-views in recent years, God, it's been bad. There's so many instances at this Money in the Bank 2019 show, which I'm going to explain in this video, they're just such bad booking. There's so many of them. It's whether that's the stuff they did in the Shane McMahon The Miz match, Reigns beating Elias in 8 seconds, everything to do with the cover girl for this show, Becky Lynch, everything to do with her, obviously the Brock Lesnar stuff at the end, where Mustafa Ali is standing at the top of the ladder for 15 minutes, and he's caressing the briefcase because he can't unhook it or else he'll get in trouble by everyone because he's, going against what the booking wants. So he's standing at the top of the ladder, caressing the briefcase, and then Brock's music hits, and then literally Ali's there for 15 minutes, then Brock comes in and takes the briefcase. That looked ridiculous. The women's Money in the Bank match was fine. The stuff with Carmella was pretty cringe. A lot of this stuff on this show, Samoa Joe, Rey Mysterio going a minute, it's just, a lot of this stuff was just crap on this show, so I'm just going to rip this show apart. This was last year's Money in the Bank show, obviously. This year, Money in the Bank 2020 doesn't look like it'll be much better, based off what we're getting so far, so, yeah, without further ado, I'm just going to get into the review for this abomination of a show. Pretty much, the show itself, before I get into the show, the poster, this one, some people hate this poster, some people like it. Personally, I really like the poster. If you've been watching the content, you know that I'm not a big Becky Lynch fan by any means. I think she's alright. I mean, she's stale and overpushed by this point, but I think she's fine, especially this time period. This poster, it was cool. It's something different to look at, so I like the poster for what it's worth. The show itself, though, not so much. Okay, right away we get a video saying that this is done out of memory for Ashley Massaro, who, I mean, I'm not going to go into the atrocities that she went through behind closed doors in her career, especially in, the Middle East. The stuff she went through there, just awful. So, yeah, she's such a controversial reputation, does Ashley. Anyway, the Money in the Bank 2019 opening video package, it's normally the Money in the Bank package is the same, just about, climb the ladder, grab the contract, and get one step closer to being a world champion, that kind of thing. But this one was overly cringe. If you haven't seen it, I wouldn't even recommend going out and watching this. This opening package was just so cringe. I don't know what other way to describe it. So anyway, the show came to us from Hartford, Connecticut. We opened with the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Naomi versus Carmella versus Dana Brooke versus Nikki Cross versus Bayley versus Natalya versus Ember Moon versus Mandy Rose. Okay, so 8 women in this ladder match. Out of them, Naomi, I mean, I guess she fits the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Carmella, no. Dana Brooke's useless. Nikki Cross doesn't really fit a ladder match. Bayley's alright. Same with Natalya, but they ladder match wrestlers. Ember Moon to a lesser extent. None of the women are ladder match specialists. You know, they're not the Kofi Kingstons, the Dolph Zigglers, a couple of years ago, Adrian Neville. These type of guys who can bump around on the ladders and can make the ladder match more entertaining. In the men's one at this show, you saw Ali, you saw Andrade, Finn Balor, I think Ziggler was in it. You saw those guys. They can bump around and make the ladder match more entertaining, but this match just doesn't have that. Outside of maybe Naomi, none of the women are made to take these big sick bumps. So, anyway, the whole ladder match also, another thing with ladder matches I hate how it's two women in the ring, or two men, or whatever gender, 2 people, 3 people, 4 people in the ring, everyone else is out at ringside having a nap. I've never liked that, but anyway, Naomi came out, she looked ridiculous, wearing this like glowing bumblebee like pom-pom attire, and then whatever. So the match itself, there was this whack spot where 4 women were holding ladders, were holding 2 ladders, and then Naomi walks across the ladders and kicks Mandy Rose. So these 2 ladders then crash into each other. Carmella, this was the other story of the match, Carmella got injured at some point and she was helped out by WWE doctors. Then Bayley got laid out on a ladder. From here, Naomi hit her with a split-legged moonsault. Nikki Cross then ran under a ladder and speared Natalya, which, this part of the match I'm about to read to you was just dumb, okay? Bayley pulls Mandy Rose off a ladder, so Dana Brooke is then left alone at the top of the ladder. This is the same thing I just ranted about with Mustafa Ali, and I'll get to later. Dana Brooke's at the top of the ladder, literally, there's no one around her. You're thinking to yourself, just grab the briefcase, grab the damn thing. But she's literally, because she's not the one who's supposed to win the match, she's just standing there aimlessly, just touching the briefcase, but not actually grabbing at the hook. She's just standing there. It's infuriating to watch. So she eventually gets knocked off. Then we got Carmella hobbling back down to ringside. They've done this so many times in ladder matches. I swear, like, they did this with Dean Ambrose in 2014, where Ambrose hopped out, with his injury, and he came back to take down Rollins. Like, they do this so many times in ladder matches. So Carmella hobbles back down to ringside. Then Mandy Rose and Carmella went at it. Carmella laid out Mandy Rose in the other way with a super kick. Carmella then climbed to the top of the ladder. Then Sonya Deville, who isn't even in the match, pulls her down before spearing Carmella, which, then we got the line of the night on commentary from Renee Young. Well, it's not even a great line, but it's just the way she delivered it. The way Renee Young said, "Come on, this is garbage." The way she said that was hilarious. Anyway, Deville got Rose into the ring and carried her lifeless body up the ladder slowly, which took so long. Then Bayley just ran up, knocked them off, grabbed the briefcase. So Bayley's misses Money in the Bank for 2019. Afterwards, Bayley's interviewed. She's asked about her and Sasha being broken up during the shake-up. She says that she's proud of her and Sasha's accomplishments, but now she's on SmackDown. She wants to prove what she can do and what she can be capable of as Bayley in the Bank. Whatever. I gave this 3 stars. 13 minutes 50. Bayley wins. Then our commentators talk about Sami Zayn and Braun Strowman, and we get Triple H and Sami Zayn doing this segment backstage. Okay. Then we get the singles match for the US Championship. Samoa Joe versus Rey Mysterio. Look, I barely got time to think during this match because it went for 1 minute and 40 seconds. So Dominic was shown watching this match backstage. Rey Mysterio, who's wearing this ring gear, like the red, white, and green. It looked ridiculous. He had the mohawk thing. And for the match itself, Joe got Rey out for a powerbomb. Rey countered with a roll-up for the pinfall victory. So literally, Rey Mysterio beats Samoa Joe to win the United States Championship in like 1 minute and 40 seconds. So, the dangerous Samoa Joe, as Michael Cole was calling him, the dangerous Samoa Joe loses in under 2 minutes. Great booking by WWE there. So, then it's 2019, it's not surprising. Afterwards, Dominic celebrates with Rey. Then Samoa Joe rushes back down, beats up Rey Mysterio. And then Michael Cole reminds us that, Samoa Joe, he's the destroyer, he's dangerous. He just lost to a 5'6" man in 1 minute and 40 seconds. What part of that's dangerous, Cole? You clown. So that's what we got there. The 50-50 booking and WWE is just painful. So 1 minute and 40 seconds, complete dud. Rey wins US title. Then, speaking of just boring matches, we got the steel cage match where The Miz took on Shane McMahon. This, I've been reviewing all the pay-per-views of 2019, except Fastlane, I think. So I've reviewed the Rumble, Chamber, WrestleMania, now Money in the Bank, all of which Shane and The Miz have been incorporated with each other. They were in the tag team and the tag title matches. Now they're having singles matches. I couldn't care less. I really couldn't. Okay, SmackDown in 2019, for the first 2/3 of it, was Shane McMahon and The Miz as the main storyline. And then elsewhere, it was what? What else was it? It was Shane McMahon and Roman Reigns. Who cares? So the match itself, Shane doing his incredibly fake-looking punches. Shane attempts a coast-to-coast. Miz intercepts it and applies a figure 4. Miz unloads on Shane with chair shots. Nothing special. Commentary's trying to sell this match, but I don't care. Miz trash-talking Shane McMahon. Shane then looked absolutely stuffed. Because, Shane McMahon, when his face goes beetroot red with his grey hair, he looks like he's about to, collapse. So, anyway, Miz hits a skull-crushing finale to Shane on a chair. Shane then got his right leg on the bottom rope, and the referee broke the count. I'm sorry. I'll repeat that again in case you missed it. Miz hit a skull-crushing finale to Shane onto the steel chair, and then he covered him. Shane got his right leg on the bottom rope, and the referee broke the count. Excuse me, you're inside a steel cage? How does that work? Can someone explain that to me? Okay, this company makes the rules up as they go. And I get it, it's not a real sport, so you can do that. But this was ridiculous, dude. Literally in a steel cage match, Shane puts his foot on the rope, and the ref's just like, break up the pinfall. And the crowd began chanting BS, they're actually saying it, so that was hilarious. Then I'm all confused. Was that a botch? What was it? From here, Miz goes for a skull-crushing finale off the top rope. Shane then tosses Miz to the mat. From here, Shane climbs up to the top of the cage. Miz follows him up. And then we get the ending, where Miz is attempting a superplex to Shane off the top of the cage. They're not going to actually do that move in the PG era. Then Miz grabs Shane by the top of his shirt. And then Shane just falls off the cage and then escapes. So Shane beats the Miz. Shane's like beetroot red. He's like crawling to escape. Shane beats the Miz. 13 minutes this went for. I gave this 1.5 stars. This blew chunks. So from there we go to our commentators once again talking about Sami Zayn and Braun Strowman. And then we get literally an announcement for a new championship coming tomorrow night on Raw. Which this would end up being the 24/7 championship. Now, I can safely say in the 1 year since this belt came into prominence, it's been the biggest redundant waste of time. R-Truth is now, as of the making of this, a 34-time 24/7 champion. What a joke. So then from here we see Sami Zayn shown hanging by his feet on some cage, and Triple H with a bunch of other guys in suits run over. So whatever. Then we go to the singles match for the WWE Cruiserweight Championship. Tony Nese defending against Ariya Daivari. Okay, it's crazy to see that in 2019, the Cruiserweights got given a championship match on the main card of a pay-per-view. Money in the Bank, no less. It's supposed to be like a big 5 pay-per-view. It's the 5th biggest pay-per-view they do. So clearly, this match didn't impress Vince and the other higher-ups because the Cruiserweights haven't been on a main card since. So anyway, Daivari came out in a sports car. The match itself, it was whatever. It honestly felt out of place in this show because you never see the Cruiserweights on these main cards. So as I said, it just felt out of place and like there was no reason to care. It was just 2 guys wrestling for 10 minutes. And like, you know, I don't know. After watching this match, I can understand why the Cruiserweights aren't given the spots on the main card anymore. The match itself saw a couple of aerial moves on display. Daivari took control of the match. He hit a big high knee to Nese. The crowd was pretty dead during the match. The guys went to ringside. They came back into the ring with a big suplex from Daivari. Nese then hit a big suicide dive onto Daivari. Then a 450 splash on Daivari for a near fall. Daivari caught Nese with a big super kick and then a thunderous lariat for a near fall. Finally, we got the finish. Nese just hit a running Nese for the pinfall victory. So Tony Nese beats Daivari. 2 3/4 stars I gave this. 9.25. Who really cares? Then you go backstage. Triple H, he's going over to Braun Strowman. Triple H says that because of what Braun did to Sami Zayn, he can't award this behavior the spot in the Money in the Bank match. So Braun's asked to leave by Triple H. Then we see a recap of Sami Zayn hanging by his feet. And then we go to Becky Lynch. So here, singles match of the Raw Women's Championship. Becky Lynch defending against Lacey Evans. Now, if you think Lacey Evans is green now, Lacey Evans back in May 2019 was as green as, I don't know, as green as grass that's in beautiful, I don't know, but you got my point. She was incredibly green at this stage. Just, this whole feud was absolutely god-awful. I've said this in numerous videos, if you've been following the channel. This whole thing they did, where Becky Lynch comes off WrestleMania 35, has the big moment to close the show, and her first challenger is Lacey Evans, someone who's been on the main roster for like 2 weeks. Do you know how ridiculous this looked? Like, it's clear Vince McMahon loves Lacey Evans. I'm not saying he doesn't or anything, but it just looked ridiculous. Okay, Lacey Evans is like the female Baron Corbin in the regard of how much they're pushed, even though this green as grass. And then, literally, it's funny I mentioned that because we got Lacey Evans teaming with Baron Corbin in Extreme Rules 2 months after this. So, anyway, this match, Becky came out of the box aggressively against Lacey. She hit a big basement dropkick to Lacey. The crowd in Hartford began singing Becky Lynch's theme song. From here, Lacey controls most of the match, hits a big elbow drop to Becky for a near fall before smothering her with a chinlock and a shoulder wrench submission. Then, we got to see Lacey Evans working over Becky Lynch for minutes on end. Just boring. Ultimately, Becky rolls up Lacey. Then Becky attempts a disarmer, but Lacey got to the ropes. Then Becky would win the match by countering a roll-up into a disarmer to retain the Raw Women's Championship. So, Becky, she keeps one of her 2 belts, I guess, if anyone cares. 2.5 stars I gave this. 8 minutes 40. So Becky retains the Raw title. Then, Jesus Christ. how do I describe this? Basically, here we get to see the stupidity of WWE's baby faces. So Becky Lynch has both titles on her shoulders, or like a title on each shoulder. She's then walking up the aisleway selling her injuries. Then Charlotte Flair's music hits. She makes her entrance wearing a robe. She stands in the ring waiting for Becky to come back in and have their title match. And this match, which was scheduled for later on the show, ends up happening now because the heel goaded the babyface into it, and the babyface is an idiot. Like, if you're a babyface, you'd be liked more by the fans if you said, no, sorry, I want to have the best chance to keep my title, stuff you, I'm out of here. But instead, Becky's like, oh, I'll fight you, Charlotte, even though I'm in no physical condition to. So Becky gets in the ring, and then we literally see, like, Charlotte, beating up Becky Lynch. So the match begins, the two women exchange forearm strikes and shots. Becky sends Charlotte out to ringside. Charlotte then goes back into the ring. Lacey Evans then comes back down, delivers a woman's right to Becky Lynch. From here, Becky rolls up by Charlotte for a near fall. Charlotte then big booted Becky for the pinfall. So Charlotte wins the SmackDown Women's title. Becky 2 belts is no more. Okay, Becky 1 belt is now what we're dealing with. This was Charlotte Flair's 9th reign as a women's champion in the company. Just ridiculous. I gave this 2 stars, 6 minutes 15. Who really cares? Then we got literally... this whole situation was just garbage. I can't even be bothered. So following Becky's loss, she went after Lacey Evans. Becky's just punching Lacey. Then Charlotte got involved and was beating up Becky. From here, the two heels, once again, were beating up Becky Lynch. The crowd's chanting, we want Bayley. Bayley's music finally hits. The crowd pops. Bayley rushes down, makes the save. She then takes out both Evans and Charlotte. From here, Bayley then goes over and grabs a briefcase. She then cashes in a briefcase. Bayley hits a Bayley to belly and a diving overdrop on Charlotte, and then pins her. So Bayley wins the SmackDown Women's Championship. We've had 3 SmackDown Women's Champions in the space of 10 minutes. Just ridiculous. So this whole portion of the show was just messy booking. Just the way they went from Lacey versus Becky to Becky versus Charlotte with Lacey interfering to Charlotte and Lacey beating up Becky and then Bayley cashing into in the SmackDown Women's title from Charlotte and then Bayley standing tall. Just this whole show was garbage. So Corey Graves is complaining about how Charlotte was never able to make it up to her feet, which it's a fair point. And just yet another reason why this show sucks. So, as I said, we had 3 women's champions in 10 minutes. No rating for the cash-in match. 20 seconds, Bayley wins the title. So, from there, you think, okay, maybe the show improves. No, the show didn't improve. You got a Roman Reigns versus Elias. So, Roman Reigns is shown backstage walking towards the ring. Elias then decks Roman Reigns in the back with his guitar. Then we see Elias walking towards the ring. The match isn't scheduled to go on next, apparently. But then we see Elias walking to the ring anyway, playing an electric guitar. He says he's the biggest acquisition in SmackDown Live in WWE history. Sure. Then, apparently, Vince McMahon told Elias that he's the future of WWE and the company's in good hands because of him. Elias is then talking about how great he is. The crowd's just booing. Elias starts singing. He then walks off from the ringside area. Reigns' music hits. Reigns rushes down. Superman punches Elias. Reigns throws Elias into the ring. Bell rings. Reigns spears Elias. 1, 2, 3. Way to make Elias look good. Reigns beats him in 8 seconds. What was this even out to achieve? This was a waste of time. Granted, it didn't take up much time, but did this need to happen at a pay-per-view? Just whatever. So from there we go to the match of the night. Singles match of the WWE Universal Championship. Seth Rollins defending against AJ Styles. Definitely far and away match of the night. AJ Styles and Seth Rollins here. Put on a match that I would expect from like NXT. That was how good it was. So the bell, went to get us underway. They begin with some circling, collar and elbow tie-ups, grapples, and other basic wrestling moves like backbreakers, chops, drop kicks, etc. So they do that for a few minutes. Both Rollins and Styles, then they're on the apron. Styles blocks a Rollins suplex attempt. Styles then lines up a Styles clash off the apron to Rollins. But Rollins escapes to the floor. Styles then hits Rollins with a big knee strike. Rollins hits a big suicide dive onto Styles. Both guys go crashing onto one of the announce tables. From here, both guys got back into the ring at a 7 count. Styles then got clotheslined to the ringside, and Rollins hit him with a second suicide dive. Back in the ring, Rollins punched away on Styles a little bit. Rollins delivered a sling blade on Styles before a forearm strike in the corner. Rollins then delivered a springboard clothesline on Styles for a near fall. Then we got Rollins hitting a buckle bomb and a big frog splash on Styles for a near fall. Rollins would then strike Styles in the corner. Rollins put Styles on the top turnbuckle. Styles punched Rollins off the top rope. From here, Rollins ran back up the top rope. Styles then slipped underneath and legged Rollins. Then we got Styles doing a torture rack bomb on Rollins for a near fall. Styles went up to the top turnbuckle. Then Rollins hooked Styles' head under his left armpit. Hit this sick move where he flipped Styles over his own head and then onto the mat. That just looks sick. So From there we go to Styles looking at a calf crush on Rollins. Styles is just wrenching away on Seth. Then Rollins escapes, hits Styles in the jaw. Both guys are laid out. They then fought back to their senses. Rollins and Styles exchange strikes back and forth. We get the "Let's go Rollins, AJ Styles" chants going back and forth. Then Rollins hits a step-up enziguri on Styles. Styles goes for a Pele kick. Rollins goes for a curb stomp. Styles then caught Rollins as the Styles clash, and Rollins, just kicked out from near fall. This is awesome chance ringing around Hartford here. Then Styles lined up a phenomenal forearm. Rollins caught him with a ripcord knee. Rollins superkicked Styles. Rollins then pulled himself up in the corner. He then hit a thunderous curb stomp on Styles. Rollins crawled into the cover. 1, 2, 3. Seth Rollins beats AJ Styles to retain the Universal Championship. Damn good match here. Really fun to watch. Excellent work by both guys. Styles afterwards teased striking Rollins, but they both shook hands. Good match here. 4.25 stars I gave this. 19 minutes 45. Rollins retains the Universal title. So from there, we go to another 25, 30 minutes of just nothing really. So we see Kofi backstage, interview with Xavier Woods. They don't really say anything. So then we go to our Raw commentators reminding us that Mick Foley's introducing a new championship tomorrow night. The new championship. What a joke. So then we get Lars Sullivan and the Lucha House Party. This really needed to happen, didn't it? So Lucha House Party's Kalisto, Dorado, and Metalik make their entrance. They're all wearing their super colourful, essentially racial stereotyping gear. They say that Money in the Bank only comes around once a year, and they announce that every day is a party. Which I'm thinking to myself, why are they in the ring? And then Lars Sullivan's music hits. Big Lars comes down, the adult entertainer himself. From here, Michael Cole tells us to look at this mammoth of a man. Oh, he's stalking him. He's stalking him. Oh, pick the ankle, John. WWA. Well, he didn't say most of that, but he told us to look at this mammoth of a man. From here, I'm thinking to myself, Cole, I am looking at him, you F-stick. That's what I thought. I'm not going to say the actual word, but that's what I was thinking. From here, we get Metalik diving at Sullivan. Sullivan catches him and dumps him to the floor. Dorado does the same. Sullivan then slams Dorado on the floor. Sullivan then gets in the ring and headbutts Kalisto to the mat. Sullivan then busts his own forehead open from the headbutt. Great. Sullivan was then bleeding everywhere, which just, what a clown. Sullivan then hits a big running powerbomb on Kalisto. So Michael Cole calls this a slaughterous display. Because Michael Cole has the vocab to end it all. Michael Cole's vocabulary is special. He's slaughterous. He's just a mammoth of a man. He's stalking him. Just Michael Cole the clown. So from there we go to the singles match of the WWE Championship. Kofi Kingston versus Kevin Owens. When you look back at Kofi's championship reign last year, I can only be disappointed really. After the amazing WrestleMania 35 he had, where he defeated the dastardly heel Daniel Bryan and won the title, he then feuded with Kevin Owens, Dolph Ziggler, and Randy Orton, which, in hindsight, the Owens feud was alright, the Ziggler feud I hated, and the Orton feud I liked. So, the reign was just alright. I mean, the feuds gave us a slew of alright pay-per-view matches, but nothing overly special, so those matches, they're all just buried away in the mid-card or co-main event, not super important. Anyway, this Owens thing, the storyline itself, where Owens became an honorary member of the New Day because Big E was out, and then Owens turned and got his opportunity at the title. It was a cool little story. It was something. The segments on SmackDown weren't overly good. So yeah, early on in the match, Kofi sent Owens to ringside and hit him with a springboard double axe handle off to the steel steps. Kofi would send Owens crashing the ringside barricade before hitting a dive off the apron onto Owens. The match was most entertaining when it was at ringside with Kofi diving around. Because in the ring, we just had Owens stomping away on Kofi, Owens hitting a senton to the back of Kofi, Owens just doing what he usually does, controlling the pace while talking trash to the opponent. So Kofi got sent crashing hard back first into ringside. From here, Kofi crashed into the cameraman. Owens then went to the apron and hit a running frog splash to Kofi onto the floor. That was pretty cool. Owens then rolled Kofi back into the ring and got a near fall on him. From here, Kofi hit a boom drop on Owens. Owens then got right back up and locked in a Boston Crab on Kofi. Kofi would then scratch and claw his way back to the bottom rope to force a break. From here, Kofi and Owens exchanged strikes on the apron. Kofi caught Owens with a double knee strike to the chest. Owens then went crashing hard back first on the apron. Owens blocked a Trouble in Paradise. Owens then locked in a Boston Crab on Kofi. From here, Kofi eventually made the break. Owens taunted the crowd. Owens then caught Kofi with a pop-up powerbomb. Kofi then hit a Trouble in Paradise on Owens. Owens fell out to ringside. Kofi went and got Owens, putting him back into the ring. From here, Owens hit a stunner on Kofi. Kofi got his hand to the bottom rope to survive. From here, Owens went to the top rope, looking for a rolling senton to Kofi. Kofi got his knees up, then hit a Trouble in Paradise, 1, 2, 3. Kofi retains against Owens. I gave this 3.25 stars, 14 minutes, 10 seconds. That's about it, really. So from there, you go to a Super Showdown commercial. Brilliant. They're hyping up the Goldberg-Undertaker match, which, if only we knew how horrible that would be. That match was so bad. They hype up Randy Orton, Triple H. They hype up the 51-man Battle Royal and a Lashley Strowman match. Jeez, that's such a Saudi-type card. My God. Goldberg, Undertaker, Orton, Triple H, 51-man Battle Royal. Thank God I've never watched Super Showdown 2019. I've never watched that show and I never will. So, from here we go to our main event, the Money in the Bank ladder match for a men's World Championship match contract. Brock Lesnar with Paul Heyman. Well, you wouldn't see them till late in the match, and we'll get to that. Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre. So, two really legit guys who I like there. Ricochet, perfect ladder match guy. Ricochet is made for these ladder matches. Andrade, decent ladder match guy. Ali, great ladder match participant. He's another one of these guys. He's made for a ladder match. Finn Balor, he's made for ladder matches. He can take these bumps. And Baron Corbin, who, having Corbin in a ladder match is a bit of a weird fit. So, yeah, the main event itself, the World Championship ladder match. Perhaps the match begins, just utter chaos, action happening absolutely everywhere. Orton would sideslam Ali onto the Raw announce table. Then Ricochet and Balor went for a double suicide dive. But then Orton legs Balor and then slams Balor across the Raw announce table. So Ricochet delivers the suicide dive to Baron Corbin. From here, Orton catches Ricochet moments later and dumps him as well across the Raw announce table. So Orton was on fire in the early going. We got Andrade then placing a bridging ladder between the ladder in the middle of the ring and in the middle ropes. So Andrade then knocks Ricochet off the apron. Then both Andrade and Balor were atop this ladder in the middle of the ring. Andrade then did this incredibly dangerous, horribly violent-looking sunset flip spot on Balor. So literally, Andrade sunset flips to Balor, sending Balor crashing hard through this bridging ladder. It looked insane. It looked nuts. So then we get Ali coming in, hitting a tornado DDT on Baron Corbin. Andrade then hit an incredible Spanish fly on Ali. Another incredibly sick-looking move. Michael Cole yelled, "What is wrong with these guys?" Sorry, that was garbage. "What is wrong with these guys?" I can't do a Cole voice instantaneously. It has to be the right situation for the Cole voice. Like, oh, he's stalking him. He's stalking him. Oh, he's hanging Gangrel John. So that's what we got there. From here, I was just thinking to myself, those two high-impact spots with Andrade, the Spanish fly on Ali, and then the Spanish, the sunset flip to Balor, just brutal moves. So, like, moves like that take years off your career, and it proves why WWE, I don't know, they need to push these guys like Andrade. They really do. It's good they're finally doing it now, but for what these guys put their bodies through, they deserve to be pushed more. From here, we go to ringside. McIntyre bridges a ladder between the apron and the announce table. Corbin then chokeslams Ali through one of the other announce tables. Corbin will then grab Drew McIntyre and toss him out to ringside. Back in the ring, Corbin chokeslammed Balor on the side of the ladder. That would have felt horrible. From here, Corbin went to ringside. Ricochet then went to hit a suicide dive on him, but then Corbin caught Ricochet and delivered a deep six to him at ringside. McIntyre then lined up Corbin and hit him with a Claymore kick. From here, McIntyre would suplex Balor into a ladder, which looked terrible. That suplex looked awful, as in, like, the amount of pain Balor would have felt. Then McIntyre got Andrade in a position for an Alabama Slam. McIntyre hits an Alabama Slam to Andrade onto Balor, who was laying on a ladder. That move looked sick. From here, Ricochet dove in with a springboard elbow to McIntyre. Ricochet then scaled up the ladder. McIntyre pulled down Ricochet and tossed him over the top rope onto a bridging ladder at ringside. The ladder snaps in half. The way McIntyre just tosses Ricochet out and broke the ladder, that looks sick. So from there, McIntyre climbs up the ladder. Orton legs him and then catches him with a sweet mid-air RKO. So the mid-air RKO to McIntyre. Corbin then comes in, takes down Orton and climbs up himself. Then Ali comes in, stops Baron Corbin. Ali hits a Hurricane Rana to Corbin out to ringside. So this leaves Ali in the ring by himself. Mustafa Ali, this is his moment. Ali scales one rung, scales another. No one around, scaling rung after rung after rung. Ali's at the top of the ladder. He has both hands on the briefcase. He's standing there literally by himself. He can just unhook the thing. He's right there. Brock Lesnar's music then hits. And then Brock jogs down. Literally, Ali's standing at the top of this briefcase. He could just unhook the briefcase like any normal person would. Instead, he stands there looking at Brock, forgetting about the briefcase. It's literally in his hands. And then Brock comes in and literally knocks Ali off the ladder, sets up a ladder himself, climbs the ladder, unhooks the briefcase. So, that was the match. Yeah, I mean, all 7 of the initial competitors literally killed themselves with Andrade doing the sunset flip to Balor through a bridging ladder, with that incredible looking, whatchamacallit, the Spanish Fly to Ali, with McIntyre snapping snapping Ricochet through a ladder, all the spots in the announce tables, the mid-air RKO from Orton to McIntyre, all these 6 spots, and then Brock runs in and gets probably paid a couple $100,000 to jog down, unhook a briefcase, and that's the end of the show. Terrible. So, the match itself, I gave 4.5 stars. I'm going to deduct a quarter of a star for the ending, because that's horrendous, but yeah, really, really good match here. 19 minutes, Brock Lesnar wins the Money in the Bank match for the men. Overall, Money in the Bank 2019, I really didn't like this show. I gave this show a D, okay, because Styles and Rollins was really good. There was no storyline there. I mean, the storyline was AJ Styles saying, I'm a better wrestler than you are, and we're going to wrestle at Money in the Bank, because AEW have Double or Nothing, and we need to out-wrestle AEW. That was the story for the Universal title match, which, granted, the match was really good, so not too much complaints there, but there's no real story. The Money in the Bank match for the men, great match, like lots of awesome spots, but just the ending just killed it. And then, those are the best things. And then the rest of the show, Kofi and Owens, like Lars Sullivan, the Lucha House Party, that's a SmackDown mid-card filler segment. And then we got, Reigns and Elias for 8 seconds. What a joke. The stuff with the women's titles, I hated. We got the stuff with, Tony Nese and Daivari, the 205 Live stuff. That didn't need to be on the show. Miz and Shane, I hated that, especially the botch where Shane's foot was on the rope and they did the rope break. Joe and Mysterio. Joe's dangerous, but the match can't last more than 2 minutes. And then we got, the opening women's Money in the Bank ladder match was whatever. So, Money in the Bank 2019, overall, check out Rollins vs. Styles. But that's literally it, because outside of the men's Money in the Bank match and Rollins Styles, nothing's worth watching. And even then, those matches just amounted to nothing really. So hopefully you enjoyed the review. If you did, be sure to like, comment, sub. You guys know the drill. See ya.